So this is good old Baruch here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel. I'm back from a trip to the holy city of Passaic, New Jersey, where my son lives with his. They had a wedding in the family, and I went to the Shavuot Brachos, the whole deal. So I'm back in beautiful Boca. I want to remind you of something that we've been working on here in the Kriya Shema. This is the Kriya Shema Shala Carbano, so let me just show that here to you. We said there's some magic things that happen here. This is what the RASHASH shows you. He shows you all the magic behind the scenes. The trouble is, and trying to understand it, put in some kind of a perspective. And what we got to is bringing a lot of Shefa down and evolving it into this combination of 9 and 4 is 13. This is all the flow. The 13 meters of Rachamim, I'm not sure. These are all flow, but the idea is the dollar represents Malchus. And when you do this, you're offering yourself. Remember this? The Arba Mises based it. Now, these are some of the lights that are going to be brought up, and we'll see. Let's see how this is going to go. And here we saw the Arba Mises based it. Now, this is something that could be studied and thought about in a lot of different ways. What's the relationship between Skila and the letter Yud? Or Skila and the letter Aleph. Skila and the letter Aleph of Akia. That was the first one, was the Aleph of Adni. And then each one of them also has a moach that is associated with it. He shows you the mochim of Av, Sag, Ma'u, Ben. And then he shows you Av, Sag, Ma'u, Ben. These are the 4 Arba Mitzos based in. That if you want to really connect with the Almighty, then you need to be able to use this whole setup to offer your own soul. And that's basically what happens here. And as a result of this, it causes a process to take place, which is dredging up lost particles of Kedusha. The world that we see now with the wars and the greed and the adultery and all the other things, that the world that we constantly live in is battering us all the time. In the midst of that is Kedusha. Because this falseness, this appeal to our libidinal drives, and that's all that matters, as long as we're alive. So therefore, we want to live as long as we can, so that we can. What the original idea is to indulge yourself. These are 4 times 72, which brings us to the number 288. We're dredging up lost particles as we offer our soul. And all the loss that we've had. And it goes up and up and up. And these are La'alos Hamochim. Let's see. La'alos Hamochim Niknisuchu B'Tevis Yisrael. So we're going to bring all of these Mochin up along with the Rapach. It causes a Yichudim to take place. Yud Kei Vav Kei. With this Yud Kei Vav Kei, this is called the Av, the Ak. You have to know who Ak is, because if you're not, you're listening. It won't hurt you. But Av and Sag the Ak, a Yichud takes place between them, and it causes these 2 Shiluvim to come out, combinations of them. Havaya Ekya, but it moved instead of this was a Milui. L'zaveg Av Sag Da'ak the Yichud, though, which is 2 sides to it. It has a Yud on the outside here and a Yud on the inside over there. We know this is called Chitzoni, this is called Pinimi. And it generates Shefa coming down as a result of that. It's like 2 stars that came together and bang, it's just all beautiful and everything is just the most wonderful thing. And all this Shefa starts coming down. Now, I'm going to read the Shefas because I'm going to read the Shefas. That's what I'm going to do. And it says like this, Yekaven L'Zavuk Chabad Denai Da'atik. So at the bottom of Atik, we're going to make a Yichud there. It's going to produce this. L'Hamshech Mechem Ha'arus Tipul's Chub. So the Tipul, now the Tipul actually is the essence of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. It's the Chub, the Chochma, the Zav. Look in Zer Anpen. You'll see that it has a Chochma. Inside that Achma Chochma, open up the door, go in. You'll see there are 10 spheros in there. Find the Chochma and the Bina. That's where it's going to Zer Anpin. And we're going to take them to the Chabad, the Chagat, the Erik Anpin. We're going to take them to the very top of the Chagat. Now, knowing that there's a concept here of three different, let's call them Partsufim, sections. They're actually sections of light. There's a top which is called the Chabad. There's a middle called the Chagat. And there's a bottom part called the Nai. We're only going to deal here with the Chagat and the Nai because we're dealing with Katnas. The Chabad only comes in with his Mochin the Gadlus. After we do that, so you brought this down to the Chabad, the Chagat, the Erekamping, and make a yichud there. Looks like this. Gam Yakaban the Zabak Chagat deny the Atik. So you're going to go down the bottom of Atik and you're going to make a yichud there. He said, Yakaban the Zabak Chagat the Chagat the Erich. We're going to make those two together, the Chagat of Chagat. Now, the Chagat can be divided into Chagat, Chagat, Nai, just like everything else. So he said, but we're only dealing with the Chagat and the Nai part because this is Katnas. V'yakabin the Zavar Chagat, the Chagat, the Arich, looks like that. V'gam Yakabin the Zavar Nai, the Atik. We got the bottom of Atik. And he said, Laham Shechatipos Ahug. He said, to bring the tipos that we said before, the Kabin and Nai, the Chagat, the Rich, and then the Zabeg, the Nai, the Chagat, the Rich, going to make a yichud there. It's going to look like that. Now, here's where we left off the last time. And so we just want to kind of put a period on this. And let's see what we can do. Laham Shechatipos Amochin the Hug the Hub. It's a little bit, the chugdud should be the right side of the chub. The zer anpen, I don't know if it's the right side. Chug is really the middle line. That's what it is. I'm just not that good at it. I'm trying to figure it out, so bear with me. Laham shektipos hamochin the chug, the chub. That's the middle line of the chub, the zer anpen. Mu'urabos in or atzmos the Erik Anpen that have within them. He doesn't say, it's not the right translation, they're mixed with the light of the atzmos of Erik Anpen. Gam came the mazel the elder to the upper mazel, which is mazel number 8. V'yakabed the zavaka beis mazlos. This is going to cause a yichud to take place in the two mazlos, which are notzer of a nake, which are Av and Kasa, and now we hit Yud, K, Vav, K, mixed in with the Aleph, K, Yud, K. This is a Yichud. Now, Yichudim is the name of the game. Let's translate. Yakavein Lahamshek, so that we're going to pour down the Dalid Mochim, which are Asmab, the Mochim of Chachma. Which Chachma? The Chachma, now he's giving Chabad as a partzuf, as the top part, that is the Chachma part of the top part of Chachma. So you have to read it backwards, wherein Abba is Chachma. That Chachma has a top part, which is called the Chabad. And in particular, inside of that Chabad, there are 10 spheros, and there's a Chachma in there. They're all going there. But Dalad Mochim to Bina, the Chabad the Ima. So also the Dalad Mochim, which is the Asmab going into Bina, the Chabad the Ima. Gam Yakavin Sha'al Yedei Ribuy HaOros. Now this is what it is. Now you have all of this light. This is light. This is a depiction of the way that the RASHASH shows you light. Now, can I see light in this? I don't see anything. I just see basically a white page with black print on it and falling itself into Hebrew letters. But beyond that, I take his word for it. This is a picture of light. Tremendous amount of light, he says. That is, you're combining Havaya and Ekia. So that is the Yichud of Sagda'ak in a way. So Ve'ima im tevunu parts of Echad. So it causes the two partsufim of Abba Ve'ima, which had been split into Abba Ve'ima Eloi and Yisrael Saba V'Tevuna. It causes the right side, which is Abba with Yisrael Saba, and the left side, which is Ima Eloi and Tevuna, to come together and become one. Gam yochel yadei riboy oros nizdaka yisod the atik. It breaks open the yisod of atik. It cracks it. Misgalim kol chug, and you see all the chasadim and the gevuros there. Vayidei zech na'asim abba v'yasos, and through this, because now all the gevuros, it causes everything to become one again. Parts of echad. V'ima in tevuna, parts of echad. V'yordim abba v'ima Elohim. So then what happens is they go down now. This abba v'ima going down. Amislavshim b'Yisrael Sabbat Tevuna Rishonim, and it goes into the original Yisrael Sabbat Tevuna. They all come together. It's called abba v'ima Elohim, Yisrael Sabbat Tevuna. Now this is where I wanted to get to. I thought it was going to be a lot simpler, but that is in terms of the amount of time. We'll see what I could do with it. Now it says Yakave. Now we're on page Kuf Lamed Bet, and the pasuk says, or the quote says, "Yakave the Zavog Abba ve'ima Tepinimius, his Penimius." That is the aspect of his is an interior. The Penimius. So he says it's called Abba ve'ima, a certain kind of yichud. I can't tell you what it's all about. I don't know myself. So, but we do know the words he's using. So let's take a little closer look. He said, "V'yakaven lezavagaba ve'imah the penimius rucha barucha, his rucha with hers, the ava ve'imah." So we're going to make a yichud of ava ve'imah, penimius the rucha barucha, the ava ve'imah. Achar hazivuk achitzon, and after the outside, the yichud, the gufa begufa. Okay, so reading it backwards. He says that there was a yichud chitzoni. Now, this is what I was taught to learn, that this is called a yichud panimi, yichud chitzoni, yichud panimi, yichud chitzoni, and yichud chitzoni. So I'm not sure what that means or what we got there, but one of the rules here is that we want to look at them, because just looking at them is a very powerful thing. So like I said, I'm trying to understand what this light is all about. Well, it's here, but it's hidden behind these letters, inside of these letters. So the first thing is to be able to look at the letters. Okay, that's my lecture. So first there was a yichud of gufa begufa. That was on the chitzonius. But apparently when he calls it panemius to panemius, he calls it rucha barucha. So let's find his words. If we kaven the zavag abba ve'ima the panemius rucha barucha the abba ve'ima. So their ruchos are going together. Again, there's more to this, and I don't really know what to say about rucha barucha, what it means. Let me try to get this a little bit more. There we go. So he said, and this takes place after a zivug hachitzon the gufa. So we have definitions here. Panemius to panemius is rucha barucha. That is your breath. Let's take your breath, because you have to understand you started breathing not of your own accord. And when you stop breathing, you're gone. You're not in this world anymore. This world is like we're a bunch of fish. Without this breathing apparatus, we can't survive here. It's as simple as that. So if you come in the zavagaba ve'ima, the panemius rucha barucha the haba ve'ima achra ziva hachitzon the gufa begufa, where that. And so then he says ziva panemi rucha barucha looks like this. And that yichud, that is the yichud panemi. And then he says it looks like this in the kasser, and he says in plural, kasarim of Havaya and Akia. So how he got to that, I'm not sure. And then he says it looks like this. It's a Havaya on the outside and an Akia on the inside. Then in the Chabad, it looks like this. It looks like Havaya on the outside, Elokim in the inside. Or following along. Yud, K, Vav, K, Aleph, Lamed, K, Yud, Men. And then the last one in the Zat, in the Zayin Tachtonos, it's going to be Yud, Aleph, K, Dalid, Yud, so it's Yud, K, Vav, K, Aleph, Dalid, Nun, Yud. And basically, this is the exercise at the level that I can see. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know how they got to be here. But he's telling us facts about this is what the light looks like as you make a yichud b'nimi. That's what he said, the zivug of rucha barucha, which is the yichud b'nimi, but it takes place in three different places, in the Kesarim, in the Chabad, and in the Zat. That's the way they divide it up. Okay, now we're going to add on to here. Gam Yakavin the Ora Mayim Duchrin. So as you brought all of this Sheva, you created constellations and tremendous, tremendous amounts of light as the bringing the ultimate Yichud, which is called by the name of Avsag Da'ak. That would be if we had the ability to project our minds to try to think what is closer to absolute infinity, which is nothingness. And think of outer space for a minute, and think of how we're in a capsule here on this earth. And the fact is that this is our place. Without this, we don't exist, and we won't exist long in space. Gam Yakavin L'Orah Mayim Duchrin the Abba, so we're going to start getting things aroused up above to pour out Shefa. Through the light of Chaya, which he has 5 lights within him, I guess. The word Chaya refers to Panemius. Now remember, we've gone through this concept of cold summer before. I should whip it out, but I'm never ready. And cold summer. Kol is the most Panemistic aspect, is the letter Aleph of the cold summer. The Kali, the Kli, is the first letter of the cold summer, is on the outside. So if you're looking at it, you would see the outside. If you could penetrate the outside, then you go to the next layer, there's 5. And that 5th layer is the light of the Ein Sof. And it's translated to us in the form of what we call the Noranchi, the Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaim, Yechidah. Each one of them represents a light which is more ethereal, more eternal, closer and closer and closer to our picture in our minds, if we can, of the border which is beyond our, our minds can't go that far. But you could picture the Absag Ta'ak. That's what he's asking you to do. It has the result of this light of the Chaya Shalom V'ayidei Shem Av, and also by using the name Av. And we're going to pick up this little bit down below and see what that looks like. So he said, "V'gam la'orer mam," also at the same time. So when the shefa comes down, it also arouses more need. So he said, "V'gam la'orer man de'ima." So the ima brings things back up, the problems, all the needs. The ima al yidecha neshama shalo, through his neshama. V'shem Sag, and also the name Sag, umizdavgim bebechinas kalim, and we make a yichud in the concept of kalim. Which kalim? Kalim hachitzonim depenimius shalahem. Wow. Well, of course, that's very clear. Before I read it again, let me show you what he shows us. This is Abba, excuse me, which is with the nikud of Patach. This is Ima with the nikud of Itzeri. And this is the mix of the two. Now I know that this Patach is a 6. It's a Vav on its side. And every dot is a 10. That's the rule that I've seen other places. Now, whether there's something to be said about them, because look, we have a concept for those of you who have learned the Otzvos Chaim is of Tanta, Tamim, the Kudos, Tagim, and Osios. Now, remember the story about Rebbe Akiva, that Rebbe Moshe went and looked to see what's the generation, so Rebbe Akiva's are figuring out the Tagim on top of the letters. I mean, there's deep things here, closer and closer to Hashem. So something about the Nukudos, which is right below the Tamim, that's the vocalization of the letter. The letter represents the Malchusnika aspect, it's the bottom. And somehow there's a tune in here, but wouldn't know what it was. And then go like that. Now, as a result of this yichud that we do, it produces mayim duchrin. Mayim duchrin means shefa coming from the top to the bottom. And that's on the rise side. So Abba wants now to give. He wants to give. That's my interpretation. He wants to give. Now, the next one is harder for me. When it comes to, as a result of this yichud, it comes to Ima. Ima offers mayim nukvin. Mayim nukvin means the needs, because the Kabbalah understands that the nuk is needy. That's nature of what makes the world go around. That's why the Sulam writes that if you want to know what Kabbalah means, it means the Ratzon, the Kabel. Who needs to receive is the needy. So it stimulates two different actions, and this is actually, he says, the secret of how the world works. Bringing everything up to the very top, creating a yichud. The yichud then causes the actual effects of the world to work. The world is what does not work without mayim nukvin. And mayim nukvin cannot create without mayim duchrin. In other words, the male force, which is the force of the giver, and the female force is the force of the receiver. And that's where we're going to stop today. This is the shir today. This is a endeavor to try to get to a level of being able to appreciate the light of the Ein Sof as it appears in letters. And here we got into the idea of Nikudim, which are sounds. There's another concept called Tamim, which is really, I think, beyond the concept of sound. Maybe it's light waves. I'm not sure. Wouldn't know. Well, I could gesture about it. And the concept of Mad and Man, which makes the world go round. This is Baruch Fleischman, and you're listening to the Tikkun Elevator Kollel. I'm not doing that. That's not what I'm doing.